Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. This process is totally legitimate, should not be questioned. It's the rule of law. Nobody is above the law, not even a president. That's what the leftoids keep telling you over and over again, that the process is totally legitimate, totally neutral. But then why is it that now even CNN admits that the whole process is basically a sham, and they're essentially agreeing with Donald Trump and Alvin Bragg and other legal experts that Trump will not be able to face impartial justice in Manhattan in 2023. It's just not possible. But why is it that CNN actually admitted this? Because it's true, and even beyond true, it's freaking obvious. We gotta debunk all the leftist talking points trying to pretend as if this whole process is legitimate. It clearly isn't. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, let's first start off with this CNN clip. Just take a look.
Well, that's fascinating, and Cy Vance, who preceded Alvin Bragg in that position as district attorney, warned over the weekend about what Trump says and these things that are said outside of court and how that could affect actually Bragg's case, Abby, potentially negatively for the former president.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that this is already going to be an uphill climb. You're in New York City. This is the year 2023. There is no one on this planet unfamiliar with Donald Trump. It's going to be really challenging to find an impartial jury in this jurisdiction.
You're in New York City. This is the year 2023. It's going to be really challenging to find an impartial jury in this jurisdiction. I'd say it's not only going to be really challenging, it's going to be pretty much impossible. But wait, I thought the process was totally legitimate. I thought this wasn't political persecution of Donald Trump. This was just the legal system acting fairly and impartially. Clearly, that leftist talking point was a load of crap from the beginning. It turns out that CNN actually agrees with Alvin Bragg.
These maniacs want to destroy our country. So sad. Nothing on Hunter or Biden. Anyway, your words are very important. Save America. P.S. Congrats on the book. Doing very, very well. The thesis of the book is the rule of law does not apply to Donald Trump in the borough of Manhattan. There is no way he gets a fair trial in Manhattan.
It turns out that CNN and Alvin Bragg are essentially telling us that Donald Trump is right. Here's Trump going in on the topic.
Numbers, not the same place that I know, not the same place that you know. And this is where we are right now. I have a Trump-hating judge with a Trump-hating wife and family whose daughter worked for Kamala Harris and now receives money from the Biden-Harris campaign, and a lot of it.
And Trump is correct. The daughter of the judge overseeing Trump's case worked for the Kamala Harris campaign and now serves as a president of a company that has Biden-Harris campaign as a client. CNN had John King to chime in on this issue.
Donald Trump Jr. just tweeted a picture of the judge's daughter saying she worked for the Biden-Harris campaign seems to be relevant. Oh my God. It is not relevant. It is not relevant. She's an individual adult. But this is what I was about to say. This is the game they play. It's not a game. It's not a game. This is how they play.
Right.
They try to intimidate, they attack, and they put at risk people who should not be dragged into this process. If Donald Trump is presumed innocent, if he can beat these charges, good for him. The judge's daughter has nothing to do with this, but this is what they do. This is how they have so taken this country off the rails and outside the norms.
He claims it's not relevant. It's an attack. Is it really not relevant? Is it really an attack? Or does it show a pattern of conflict of interest? Alvin Bragg's a leftist who used to work in Letitia James's office, supported by left-wing Soros-backed advocate groups. Letitia James, as well as Alvin Bragg's stated missions as they were campaigning to get elected in their positions, was outright to go after Donald Trump legally. Here's Alvin Bragg, before even assuming his role as Manhattan District Attorney, claiming that this case that he's inheriting could be one of the most important cases in American history.
Would that bring Trump's case under your jurisdiction about, what he has going on in New York and all his criminal activities, criminal activities going on?
Yes. So the New York State Attorney General, Tish James, is investigating now. That was my old office, and they're investigating. And then the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, which I'm running to be, has an investigation. And so, yeah, it's very important. The next Manhattan District Attorney is going to inherit that investigation which, could be the most important investigation in the history of the country, right?
Alvin Bragg's wife cheerleading on Twitter actively, calling for the arrest of Donald Trump. The headline should be what we're seeing from Town Hall. The judge overseeing the Trump case might have a major conflict of interest, but no, instead the media spins it as Donald Trump is acting like a mob boss.
It is, though, to your point from last night, it's like, this is appalling. When you sit there and think, you don't have this behavior, I've prosecuted mob cases. You do not have this behavior from a mob boss. There is a rule in organized crime. You do not do this with respect to prosecutors. You don't do this with respect to the judge. You certainly don't go after their families. It's bad business to do that.
Really, Donald Trump's a mob boss. No, Donald Trump is the most persecuted man in modern American history, and this entire process is corrupt. The process that they tell us is unimpeachable, to not be questioned, impartial, non-biased, is the exact opposite. Leftist politicians masquerading as prosecutors, declaring Donald Trump guilty before even starting their investigation, struggling to convince a grand jury, but then somehow miraculously securing charges and an indictment through what even CNN is describing as legal maneuvering, sending the case to a left-wing biased judge whose entire family is roped in with the Biden-Harris campaign/presidency as well as just Democrat connected. And Donald Trump's the bad guy for pointing it out. Donald Trump, the man who's got his back against the wall. Donald Trump, who's currently walking the plank with a bunch of Democrat pirates pointing their swords at him, is the bad guy for defending himself and pointing out clear bias and clear corruption within the system. I have two words to respond to that with. The first word starts with the letter F. The second word is the word off. It's a load of bull. And even CNN's Abby Philly can admit that Donald Trump is not facing an impartial jury in Manhattan. There is no impartial justice when it comes to Donald Trump in New York City. Alan Dershowitz suggested that the case should be moved to Staten Island, and Democrats are claiming that this is outrageous. Donald Trump's now pushing for his case to be sent to Staten Island, where he could face actual impartial justice, or at least closer to impartial justice, and Democrats are claiming that this is an outrage. It's baffling and it's backwards. Donald Trump is facing injustice in Manhattan, and they know it, and that's why they're outraged, because they know that Manhattan is a leftist stronghold, where more than 80% of the electorate is left-wing, and far left-wing, and hates Donald Trump, wants to see him go down, like the fiery Hindenburg. And so that's where they want him to face injustice, rather than facing a fair process. And they say this while telling you that he's facing a fair process in New York City, and that you shouldn't question the biases or conflict of interests. It's absolutely absurd. Everyone can see it. Even left-wingers can see it. The only difference between the two is that one side is outraged by the injustice. The other side wants Donald Trump to face an unfair process because it's get Donald Trump above all else. It's a truly awful moment in American history. This garbage zombie case should be immediately thrown out, frankly, before evidence is even presented, just based on the statute of limitations alone. And in a fair world, that's exactly what would happen, and I hope it happens, so I can relish in all those beautiful Rachel Maddow leftist tears. That's what I got for you guys, though. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.